Episode 74 of Funimation's Dragon Ball Super English dub was released on Toonami on Adult Swim today, so let's talk about the dub changes versus the original Japanese script, shall we? Well, the first change comes in right in the beginning with the title, because the Japanese title is called For the Sake of Those He Loves, the Immortal Great Saiyaman, and then the English title is very similar, but it's For My Beloved Ones, the Immortal Great Saiyaman, so very much the same. It's just that first part that is slightly changed to, fit with English-speaking languages a bit better. It just flows nicer. For my beloved ones, instead of for the sake of those he loves, it's a bit wordy, so they chopped it down and altered the sentence in English, but, very similar titles. And then the first major dub change comes in when Jaco reacts to his huge blast that he made last episode, and basically he reacts in the Japanese version by just saying, "Oh, I almost fell," because of the shockwave of a blast, and he just says, "I almost fell," but in the English dub, he doesn't even refer to himself falling at all, and he says that's one strong shockwave, so he references the shockwave of the blast and the explosion rather than him almost falling on his ass. So that's, two different reactions. Not a big deal. It's just, Jaco basically overreacting like I almost fell, and in English it's that's one strong shockwave. So very two, different interpretations for Jaco reacting to his huge blast that he made, the microcosm cannon that he unleashed last episode. But anyway, Gohan, he almost reveals his secret identity, to Jaco and, Coco that, So basically, Coco doesn't know that Gohan knows Jaco, so she's like, shut up. But anyway, Gohan almost reveals his real identity, and Coco's like, what the hell? And then in the Japanese, he's like, does Gohan mean what I ate earlier? So Jaco's like, because Gohan almost says that he's Gohan, and then Jaco is like, does Gohan mean what I ate earlier? And Gohan, the name Gohan, the Japanese word Gohan, means a meal of any sort or cooked rice in Japanese. And in English, they obviously can't use that Gohan name pun because it doesn't really make sense in the grand scheme of things in English. So instead of referencing the cooked rice or, a meal of any sort, instead of referencing that translation, in the English dub he says, "Who's Han? And I ain't going anywhere." So basically Jaco, he's like, I ain't going anywhere, I need answers, who are you? And then Gohan, of course, admits that he's Gohan, and then, they're all like, oh, yeah, you look a bit nerdier, then Goku, you're Goku's nerdy son, and then he's like, oh, well, I'm not that lame. But anyway, then Jaco and Gohan, they have a minute, and then Jaco sits down with Gohan, and he explains Wadagash's potential feats. So in the episode, he explains that Wadagash is an entity that sort of corrupts different life forms, and he makes them powerful and more corrupt. And his latest, biggest feat is, in the Japanese dub, he says it caused a downfall of an entire civilization. And then in the English dub, they say something very similar, but instead of talking about a civilization of people, he says this little parasite once took down a whole planet. So it's very similar, but instead of, talking about sort of a civilization of people, he refers to a whole planet. So an entire civilization versus a whole planet. Basically the same meaning, but not really. It's not exact. I feel like they could have worded it so he says an entire civilization or an entire species, but that's either here nor there. Very similar, especially compared to, other Jaco lines throughout this episode, like how Jaco reacts to his huge blast that he made, how that's completely different. This one's in the same vein, at least. But anyway, there's a scene where Barry blackmails Coco, and in the Japanese he says, don't worry, I'll continue to use you in my movies. So he's like, once you get this job done, basically just fucking over Gohan, because Barry wants Coco to basically kiss Gohan, so then Barry can catch it on film and basically snapshot that and take a photograph of Coco kissing Gohan to basically expose Gohan and also expose him as the Great Saiyaman. And when Barry blackmails Coco in the Japanese, he says, "Don't worry, I'll continue to use you in my movies." Of course, Coco is the co-star of Great Saiyaman vs. Mr. Satan, and in the English, he is like, "Just help me with this plan and I'll make sure your character sticks around for the whole trilogy." So in the Japanese, there's no mention of a Great Saiyaman trilogy, but in the English dub, they make it up. Of course, this is nowhere near on the levels of, the English dub changes in the original Dragon Ball Z dub, and that dub is quite bad, I must say, especially with the script changes. But in this Dragon Ball Super dub, it is a good dub, but they do change weird stuff here and there, and it doesn't make too much sense. Like, why couldn't he just say, "And I'll make sure your character sticks around for, more movies," instead of, a whole trilogy, because they don't even mention a whole trilogy in the Japanese. Barry doesn't. But anyway, that's either here nor there, so whatever. In English, he references a trilogy. In the Japanese, he just says, "I'll continue to use you in my movies." He doesn't even say Great Saiyaman movies. He just says, "in my future movies." But anyway, let's move on. Coco doubts her talent to Gohan when they are practicing. So basically, Coco is about to, she's practicing with Gohan her lines for the movie, and then Coco sort of doubts herself, and then in the Japanese, she's like, "I don't have the talent." So that's basically a very simple line. And in the English, she says, "Gohan, you have talent. I am the one that's awful." So this is an interesting line. I actually like the English line a tad better because it is kind of foreshadowing that she is like getting set up by Barry, like, "I'm the one that's awful, like I'm the one that's going to do this to you." She, doesn't anyway. She's, a good person at the end of the day, but she's kind of getting manipulated. So her saying, "I'm the one that's awful," kind of makes sense, foreshadowing wise. And also Gohan has the talent, he can fly and shoot shit, and he's a half-breed Saiyan, which they get to later, but I do like how it is referenced in this quote, so I do kind of like the English dub line a little bit better, and the Japanese one is a little stock standard. Alrighty, so as Coco is about to, kiss Gohan and expose, Barry's about to expose him, they go on the roof. So Coco thinks that if they go on the roof, Barry can't catch them with the, photos. So then Gohan questions why they're on the roof, because shouldn't they be practicing downstairs? It's kind of weird that, Coco insisted that they be on the roof. And in the Japanese, she just says downstairs is dangerous. But in the English dub, she actually makes up an excuse. And she says because the lobby is being painted. And, so then Goku is like, "Well, being painted? Like, what are you talking about?" And, I kind of like the English dub a bit better because in the Japanese, while Coco is a bit ditzy, in both versions of the show, like, Coco is a bit of a ditzy character, and that's fine, but, like, yeah, she's a bit of a ditz. In the Japanese, it just makes her sound kind of stupid. Downstairs is dangerous. And yes, it is, because Barry is trying to take a photo of, them kissing, or, cheating, I guess, quote unquote. Of course, it's bullshit, and Videl exposes him, later on in the episode. But anyway, it kind of just makes her sound stupid when she says downstairs is dangerous. She's technically right, but she's trying not to draw any attention on herself. She's not trying to make herself sound fucking weird in Gohan's eyes. So the English dub line fixes that, and she just makes up a quick excuse off the top of her head, because the lobby is, being painted or whatever, instead of just downstairs is dangerous. But whatever. So then Barry gloats about outsmarting Coco, and he's being a bit of a dick to her, and in the Japanese, he says, "As if a simple idol could outwit me," and, yeah, so that's basically the line. And in the English, it's quite interesting how he even says, "Since when can a pop idol outsmart a People's Choice Award-winning actor?" So the English dub just throws in People's Choice Award, the winning Choice Award actor, just throws that in there. Very weird, very odd line. Again, it doesn't ruin anything, story-wise, but it is just weird. Like, why can't they just say an award-winning actor or just an acclaimed actor, that would have worked, but People's Choice Award? Why would they bring up that reference? That's just kind of odd to me. And the last major dub change I really want to talk about is when Barry Sands' revenge on Gohan and Videl after basically embarrassing him again, and then Barry, gets kicked out of Gohan's household because Gohan, he's stepping to Barry, and it's quite a cool scene. I do like Gohan in this episode, how he's like, stay back and, just leave my daughter alone, you're going to wake her up because Barry's making a fuss. So he gets kicked out, and then Barry Sands' revenge on Gohan and Videl for doing that. And then in the Japanese, he says, I'll show them what happens when they cross ... and then he gets possessed by Wadagosh. But in the English dub, he makes another social media reference, like they do in episode 73 of the English dub, and he says, well, I'll show them what happens when you cross an actor with 4 million followers on social ... and then he gets possessed by Wadagosh. So Barry Khan, 4 million followers on Twitter, I assume it is. But anyway, they don't actually say it, they just say social media. It's trying to spice up the line more and more. It doesn't really need to be spiced up, to be honest. It's kind of unnecessary. It's cool, it makes sense. All of these dub changes, or at least most of them, make sense in the context of the characters and the scene, but it's, unnecessary, man. Barry Khan, yes, he's a famous actor. He probably has millions of followers on social media, but it doesn't need to be said. It's kind of redundant. I'll show them what happens when they cross ... That's in the Japanese, and that's all you need, basically. And I guess it's kind of funny when, he just overly says, when you cross an actor with 4 million followers on social media and blah, 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 he was going to go on and on. But it's just kind of redundant. I don't know. I didn't really like this line. It kind of threw me off guard. It makes sense, but it's just, I'm not a huge fan of it. But apart from that, the script that Funimation wrote, they stick pretty by the books. Honestly, I thought there would be a lot more, and I mean a lot more shitty dub changes, but there's only 1 or 2 that I really dislike. But that's going to do it for me. Please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. What did you think of Dragon Ball Super episode 74? I'm very much looking forward to episode 75, 76, and of course, the start of the Tournament of Power English dub, episode 77. But that's going to do it for me. Please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe. What did you think about Dragon Ball Super episode 74? Leave me your thoughts in the comment section down below. And yeah, see you guys next time. I hope you enjoyed this dub change episode, and yeah, see you guys next time.